Hi there, I'm Gord. This is the fourth of 9 episodes where we're learning how to make this particular vessel. On the last episode, we got the first ring and the floating disc glued on. Today we're going to carry on and do rings numbers 2 through 8 and get ready to put the feature ring on. So sit back, relax, enjoy. See what we can do here.
In segmented turning, it is important to make sure the joints in one ring do not line up with the next ring. This would greatly reduce the strength of the project. Cosmetically, it is much better to have the joints exactly halfway between the joints on the rings above and below. Alternating the position of the joints makes a more attractive bowl or vessel. Here I am drawing lines on the intersection of the joints so that they will be easier to see when lining up the next ring. I mark each fourth joint, which puts them 90 degrees apart. I'm sanding the faces of the second ring, which was glued up earlier. The drum sander does a great job of preparing each ring for gluing to the ring below. To mark the next ring for gluing to the ring below, I measure halfway between the two joint lines and make a mark. I then draw a line across the height of the segment using a square. Again, I do every fourth segment. Putting a mark on the edge of the segments lets me draw a line across the face of the ring, making it easier to see when lining up with the former ring. By lining up the marks on the first ring with the lines drawn across the face of the second ring, I am able to center the first ring on the second. I draw a line around the first ring to make it easier to line up when gluing them together. It also keeps me from putting glue outside of the area that needs to be glued.
Now I need to make sure that I get glue only on this part right here. I do not want any glue going inside here and ruining the floating disc. This is a 1/2 inch wide here. That should be plenty wide enough as long as it's glued properly to hold the thing together.
Now I'm drum sanding ring number 3 and doing the same steps I did before to get it ready to glue to ring number 2.
When I glued the second ring to the bottom ring and the floating disc, I used clamps like this. I did this primarily to show you that as usual in woodworking there's more than one way to do almost anything. Generally I use the press, and I'll show you next how that works. Now I've drawn a ring around here again so I can center it properly. I don't know if you can see it, but I've drawn a ring on the inside so I know where to put the glue without using too much of it. And that'll be the next step. Now with the clamp nice and tight on the press, I'll just let it sit and dry. Ring 5 is now on. You can see it's marked 5 and 7. That's because I'm going to split the ring. There's no use turning away 3/4 of this just to end up with the 1/8 thickness that I need. It'd be a waste of wood, and I can use the other part of the ring for another ring. Now it's time to split this and see how this turns out.
I use a combination square to mark the ring for splitting. I only need to mark about half of the rings, as I will be able to see the mark with the lathe spinning at a fairly high speed. I'm using a parting tool to split the ring. I slow the lathe down toward the end of the splitting of the ring so the parted off section doesn't fly away out of control. I wouldn't be very happy if it flew across the shop and broke. The very last bit I stop the lathe and push the parting tool through the thin membrane of wood that is left.
Okay, ring 5's now been split and then sanded to its right thickness. Now I'm going to glue it onto ring number 6, split that one. Same thing will happen with 7 and 8, and then I'll be back. Alright, the first 8 rings are now glued up. This is sanded, ready for the 9th ring, which will be the feature ring. What I want to do before I put that on is turn inside here and sand it. The reason I want to do that first is that once I get all the rings put on up here, I won't be able to get in there and turn it very efficiently. So I want to do that first, and I'll probably put finish on it as well before I get any further up here.
I use the skew chisel to very gently true up the bottom of the second ring. I sand the inside starting with 120 grit and sand through all the grits up to 400.
With the bottom 8 rings sanded inside to 400 grit, I'm now ready to put the finish on there. I'm going to use Minwax Wipe-On Poly. I'll clean it up first with some tack cloth, then I will use a little paper towel to put that on, running my lathe at its lowest speed of 100 RPM.
Time to enjoy a cold drink while the finish dries. Wonder what I should try. After letting the first coat of finish dry, I'm now putting on a second coat and will put on a third coat after it dries.
After a third coat of finish and letting it dry overnight, the bottom inside is now finished, and that also finishes part 4 of this series. Part 5 is going to be designing and building the diamond ring. I hope you'll take that in as well. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day. Bye now.